MGR, watching gold test highs. Yes, indeed. Gold will break down with oil, though. We will watch that very carefully. I'll show you the level. It's around 2009 that we need to get over and hold. And if we can hold that and break out, then we would end up towards that $2,100 level. But there is no guarantee if the DXY starts moving back up. But if you watch the DXY continue to break down, there's a direct correlation with the price of DXY going down or up, and precious metals doing the opposite as it's related to the actual strength of the dollar, unlike cryptocurrency. But let me do a quick intro real quick. Good mid afternoon, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Friday, November 24th, 2023. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. So I want everybody to watch this real quickly. Just real quickly, I'm going to fill up my water, but I want you to see this with Peter Schiff. This is what he said a few days ago about the financial crisis. And just listen to what he says. So if you don't listen to me, listen to Peter. He has much more knowledge than I do. Maybe get familiar with his father, Irwin Schiff, who was a political prisoner, yada, 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 and basically died behind bars years ago. Jorge, welcome in. JW, rockin' XRP Painter, and his dad famously tried to fight the IRS and claimed that you didn't have to pay your taxes, and eventually they held him for not paying his taxes. Despite all of the information and maybe legality that he had on his side, you can't get by the IRS. So I always tell people, if you want to spend time behind bars, go for it. But if not, play by the rules. And even if they're unfair. Michael Winter, good afternoon. Good evening, Mo. Yes, hit that like button, everybody. I appreciate everybody tuning in the Midday Market Report. Let's see what Peter Schiff has to say real quick in this small segment. And then we got to get into the precious metals, got to get into the actual markets.
Of the recession, and not only recession, but financial crisis. And again, the financial crisis was postponed by the Fed too, because that started in March. And if it wasn't for the Fed's backstopping the banks, we would be deep in that crisis right now. So we postponed that too, but again, at the cost of making it worse. But another thing that's apparent from the fact that this so-called strong economy has failed to shrink the deficit, the fact that the deficits have actually gotten worse, expanded during this strong economy, is more proof that the economy isn't strong, because the deficits are acting as if the economy were weak, because that's normally when you see growing deficits. They grow when the economy is weak, not when the economy is strong. They keep telling us the economy is strong, yet the deficits are growing. And again, this is more proof that Bidenomics is just a complete fraud. In fact, I never even heard about Bidenomics until earlier this year. Somebody made it up and started talking about Bidenomics when they wanted to convince us that a bad economy was good. So they came up with Bidenomics and said, hey, this is why we've got this great economy. And it's kind of like a campaign. And they're trying to sell it to the public. But the public ain't buying, because it's a bunch of BS. I mean, that's what it is. It's like a slick marketing campaign, that you have. Maybe it's like a used car lot.
Guys, does that make sense? I'll let him finish up his point for this next 60 seconds, but think about it. If we're looking so good with inflation, we're looking so much in the economy, looking so great, how is it that expanding? If we're really strong, shouldn't the bet be shrinking? Shouldn't the money supply be shrinking, contracting instead of expanding? And expanding money supply means nothing more than you can't pay your bills, you can't afford to run the country, so you expand the money supply, which drives up the prices, because inflation does not cause prices to go up. The expansion of the money supply, putting more money into the markets, into the overall U.S. economy, I should say, makes things more expensive. You have more money to pay for the same goods, price goes up. You have less money to circulate and pay for goods, price goes down. That's how it works. Anybody saying anything else is full of you-know-what.
And they're trying to, sell you on this lemon, and they're making up a bunch of stuff. But, you look at the car, you test drive it, and you realize that, it's not what they're telling you, but they're trying to move it off the lot. Mm-hmm. And that's what they're doing with the economy, Bidenomics. They're trying to convince voters that the economy is great. Well, if the economy was great, you wouldn't have to convince the voters. They would already know, right? The sign of a good economy is people know, right? Yeah, this is good, right? My life is getting better. Right? I have a lot more savings now than I had before. I paid down a lot of my debt. I'm in much better shape. I have money left over after
That's
I
how it
pay my
works.
bills. Or, maybe I quit that second job I used to have. I don't need it anymore. Right? I have a good economy. I got a job that really pays me a lot of money. I don't need to moonlight. Right? I can leave that job and have just one job. But that's a good economy. Or maybe the economy is so good that if you have a married couple, maybe one person, maybe the wife could quit her job entirely. Hey,
So that's the point. The point is we're being manipulated in regards to how this market exactly is playing out. So, I mean, look at it for real. Looking a little yeah, well, the problem is I told everybody earlier this year after I got hurt in that little accident, I told everybody I would not Julie cut my hair, and I said it would be the last time I cut my hair until XRP hit $1. So, I mean, and then I said I might not cut it until XRP hits all-time highs. If that happens, I may be going to, back of the, I might have long hair. No, I take the emo with stride. I don't mind somebody calling me emo. I'm eccentric, modest, and obscure. Emo. No, trust me, that hair is not being cut. I'm going to be 40 next month, so who knows if it'll grow back. My dad's, thin. My brother's thinning, and he's a couple years younger than me. I just got fortunate. My grandpa's got a ring around his head, the one that's alive still. My mom's dad. So, pretty fortunate. But anyhow, Dow Jones is up $86.40 to 35,358 this morning on this Black Friday. So if you're out shopping, make sure you're being safe. Make sure you're taking advantage of things that need to be taken advantage of and not buying things like TVs and things that are unnecessary this time of the year. Buy things that can actually help you exponentially. Take advantage of some deals that could possibly be out there, assuming that they didn't just raise the price and lower it, yada, yada. No, it's all good. Rockin' XRP Painter, that actually is fine by me. CJ2 Pilot, welcome in. Catnip, I promise I won't. So what we're looking for, as we've been talking about for some time, when we came down out of the broadening, we came down to try to see if we're going to come down to the bottom of the broadening wedge. We already know it's a broadening wedge. You only need the legend. You need 2 hits on support and resistance on a broadening wedge, and each time becomes more volatile. Support, resistance, both times. So we confirmed the pattern. Now we had 2 pivot points. If we broke down below this 32,580, then you'd come down onto the bottom of the broadening wedge at 30,900. If you were able to hold this, then use this as a second pivot point at 33,937. I know it looks like it's just been added in, but if you go back in my videos for months, you can see these same, or maybe not months, but when we did the broadening wedge when it first started, it's been months now. It started in September. You can see how we've had those same pivot points. And if it bounced off to 33,937, it told us we were coming up here towards 36,200 plus. That's about 36,100. And if we broke down, we'd be coming just under 31,000. We took the up route. We're coming up here. It's just a matter of time when, and we've been saying that since we did the W reversal, since we held this. It's just a matter of time. So year of end, all you need to know is year of end. The big wigs make their commission. They make their yearly bonuses on not just the Q3 earnings, but end of year stock price. Remember that, end of year stock price. Yes, Darren White, welcome in, my friend. Always good to see you in here as always. And Darren, that is an excellent observation because one of the number one supporters of Tether is? Who put the most money into Tether? I'll give you a hint. It's a company that was just ordered to pay $4.3 billion and their CEO stepped down and facing felony charges or criminal charges. You know who that is? You know who dumps into Tether like no other? Binance. Be careful. DXY 103 spot 462 down about 28 cents or 0.28%. Oh yeah, and as Janet Yellen said, Binance. We're criminally charging Binance. Like I've never heard anybody say Binance. I think she said Binance. But it was ridiculous. But anyhow, the technical target with the DXY right now, we haven't filled it out yet. And I pretty confident it's coming down to at least that 102.893. If it breaks that technical move from when we lost 104.72, you're talking about a massive correction. And when I say massive, I mean we very well could come back down to the pattern formation at 96.6. Do you know what happens if you lose that uptrend on that formation? If you lose this uptrending support, there is a chance that you could have a parabolic drop down to the bottom of the descending triangle in the dollar down to 66.29. 66. Do you know when this pattern started, ladies and gentlemen? And if you call it nonsense, it started in 1979. Oh, I'm sorry, 1978. The resistance was in 1985. If we get rejected and fall out of this now after all of this consolidation, and some would say, oh, well, Tom, you could technically do this, and I didn't get facaded. We don't need to go back to 2007 and say, oh, we've had a confirmed breakout. I don't believe it. I think this was made from the financial collapse, so I don't even technically believe we're on a breakout. I think that was false hope. So I'm looking at it from the perspective, yeah, sure, you could say we're on a breakout, and that's why we're attempting a breakout, like we've said. But I think you come down and connect that downtrending resistance that happened down here in October of 22, and that gives you a real line here. That looks like a real line here of what's actually going on. So I do appreciate everybody here. 45 people in the midday market report. It really does look like it has to hit the bottom, Crypto Scrooge. And make sure you follow Crypto Scrooge here on YouTube. He does a phenomenal job, very dedicated. So I think it's the right thing to do, go follow him as well. He started out in this community, and I'm just appreciative that he started his own thing. So the one thing that could stop us here is you can see a weird recovery here. If we hold 102.893, that could force us back up. And possibly that's how we hit the 108.28. But the closer we get to 2024, and with what the BRICS nations are allowed to do starting January 1st, 2024, maybe the 2nd with a 24-hour cool-off period, which is speculated, they can dump U.S. government bonds and pay for petrol for the first time without using the U.S. dollar as the reserve currency. So just consider that. U.S. oil at $76.38 per barrel, priced in crude oil in USA WTI. We already know, unfortunately, the U.S. government said they want this around $77 or $70 end of year. If we get rejected at $70 here or 77, this is that pivot point. That's why we put it down there. And we said it's probably not going to hold, and it'll probably come down to that 69.97 because that's the area they said year of end. They said it several months ago, and I shared it with everybody when it was around $90 a barrel. And I said, unfortunately, if they bring it down this route, we're going to be in the mid-140s or higher and sometime in 24 with crude oil, and it's not going to be good. They took that route. If it comes down here, it could possibly hit that $70 right at end of year. I mean, if you look at it, it's almost too perfect the way they set this up. Seriously. If it breaks down in routine, this is going to be year of end exactly where they said. And if you want to talk about manipulated market, imagine this. Saudi Arabia stopped exporting to us, and they're keeping more imports for themselves. So they're importing to themselves instead of exporting out. And I know that sounds weird, but imagine Saudi Arabia is just giving themselves the oil in preparation for the BRICS agreement that starts in January of 24. Just think about it. They've said they're not exporting as much to the USA. So what do? I've been watching the crypto market cap. I got resistance at 1.415. It's been rejected like 5 times. What do you think? Oh, I've absolutely been watching it. I'll go over it every single day when I do my 6:30 p.m. crypto report. But I'll show you exactly what I'm looking at on there as well in just a second. But that's the U.S. oil. So imagine they're not exporting to the USA. We have less reserve, and we have less oil coming into the country, and we're raising the price. It's advantageous. What ends up happening is you're going to have a major outbreak in oil. Gold-silver ratio continues to come down because silver's outperforming gold as we speculated it would on the next move up. Down 1.46% or $1.22. Looks like the gold-silver ratio very well could be moving down in spurts here. If we lose this low here at 82.30, which we haven't yet, about to have a bearish cross. If this converges properly, this very well could work its way back down. And we've talked about this around 79.8 to 1. And then if it breaks that, that's where it gets interesting. I'm just not sure it's ready to break it yet. So let's just watch these two levels, 78.8 and then also right around 81. Because if that breaks, that means that gold and silver is likely pumping. And silver is just pumping more. Gold, if we're looking for a breakout, it can happen one of two ways. We can come up and break over this 2009, or we can come back down, try to make a W reversal and bounce off it again. But this bull flag is set up. It is set up. And now it's just attempting a breakout. If we can get up, the technical move would be around 2082, a little bit higher. And then it would need to consolidate likely on the uptrending support right around 2058. You break out past these levels, you're in discovery if you're on top of 2082. You get into discovery. And once you're in discovery, because we've already attempted it a couple times up here, just never actually went anywhere, you could make a massive run. Massive run. Darren says, notice since the Bitcoin ETF announcement, USDT has been pumping nonstop, well above the dollar. Have you noticed they've been taking liquidity? Oh, absolutely. That's how they always do it. Basically, the speculation is that the federal government prints Tether out of existence. They just print a bunch of Tether and then they just put it into all markets. That's part of the speculation in crypto. They'll put it in every crypto and they'll front run that crypto before they pump USDT. They do the same thing with the stock market. They print a bunch of money, expand the money supply, and then they buy their favorite tech sector. Time I started today, I look at Virgin Galactic SPC. Hey, I used to buy that years ago, SPC. That's Elon Musk's company. That company shot a lot of people in the... I did pretty well on it, but a lot of people held it for years, and they ended up losing about 75%. I wrote it for a couple 100% when it failed to meet expectations back in 2019, 2020. We could maybe look at that. Let me see how quick I can get through this. Gold at 2001. We already talked about what we need to do there. B2 gold 307 at 0.82% or 2 cents. We know we've gotten into a position here, but we don't know if this position is going to have to be sold out quickly. But you guys know, for transparency, I bought at $2.97. Didn't buy the low. Didn't buy here like I wanted to. I ended up just buying it in this rotation in case it does break up. That could be a bear flag. But if gold breaks up, we could have a move up to $4. If we get rejected here, understand we're coming down to 240 and we would have to have a proper sellout. If you're looking at selling out of one of these arms, you'd have to sell it somewhere in the between. But with precious metals, you have to look at it as a yearly dividend as well, paying 5%. So year over year, your money's going to be hedged beautifully. With silver, I mean, I don't want to say that we front run these patterns, but we've talked about coming right up here to $24.28 roughly. Get on top of 24.30, we'll say, and then you have a technical breakout target. If we can break out of this ascending formation, after breaking out of the prior formation, our technical target would be $28.84. So a much quicker move than gold, which would allow the gold-silver ratio to probably plummet down near 75. Maybe farther, depending on how fast gold is actually moving in relation. USDT Tether, I've heard a lot of people talk about it. We've had multiple spikes. You had a spike back in October was the last one, but it went up to 1.01. Right now, it's just pretty flat. There's not much moving in Tether, but you can see a lot of funds being poured in. Like back here on November 16th, we had about 512 million poured in that daily. Compared to the 18th, we had 115 million. So are we looking for another big pull in here? If we get a bunch of money printed into Tether, we'll be able to see it on the USDT conversion to the US dollar. And then if you compare it with the total crypto market cap with what we're doing, I've heard a lot of people say we've been rejected. I disagree. Your rejection point. I don't disagree that we're getting rejection, but I disagree with the fact that that's the resistance, the major resistance. The only reason this is resistance right now is you might have to consolidate back down to 1.23 and retest a very long descending structure that you broke out of finally. This pattern started back, and let's not forget this, 21, maybe a little bit earlier in February 21. Now we're, for the first time in 2.5 years, we've actually broken out. So I don't look at this as a resistance. It's not that it's a resistance. This is creating a bull flag. So if it does break down, it has to come back and support the breakout, which it would probably be back. I wouldn't look at these pivot points of 1.29 and 1.32. They're good to have because if you break below those levels, and I think They're okay to be there because they're past parts of the pattern. But if we break back below there, we're going to end up coming back and retesting. That's why I do that yellow line there. We'd have to retest that area if we break down. If we break down. But I really think, like Crypto Scrooge said, we're going to be coming into an alt season. We have to. With the way, typically when Bitcoin runs the way it does, and I understand that Bitcoin is teetering right now. It's back and forth. But right now we are over a very critical pivot point. Even with the correction here on this inverted hammer and the daily, which I believe it's every bit an inverted hammer. I think that's every bit an inverted hammer. And not just that, Bitcoin's over 37,661 right now. That's the old daily. And furthermore, if we can hold 37,980 on this candle, that would make a new swing high on this candle close. But really, we only need to hold, and I know it's crazy, 37,660. Put in a beautiful inverted hammer here. And then tomorrow's daily start pushing. Yeah, but taking into consideration that it really just airs, so non-existent liquidity behind the pump, surely that has a major effect on it. It does have a major effect on the market. All of this has a major effect on the market. That's why I keep saying that end of year rally is nothing but that. Unless you break 85 cents, it's nothing more than a consolidation back up and retest the resistance that started in January of 18. So I keep saying this is a bear market rally, nothing more, nothing less, unless it first off breaks that and starts to get past $1.13 and push up. Then maybe we could start pushing into some kind of weird rally. Right now, this is nothing more than standard operating procedure, and I expect nothing less for them to do that. This is how they pay each other off. If you have big losses right now, you start to pump it up. If you have big gains, you start to break it down. Well, seeing that in 22 and 21, they dumped it out. 23 might be the year they rise it up going into 24, then dump it out. The previous 2 years, they've dumped it out, then rised it up in the beginning of the new year. They've got all the room in the world right now to pump this up. They've got all the ability right now with the printing presses going into an election year. Well, I said in 24, we may have a bear market rally and many bull market because of the election. They very well could print these markets into oblivion and make us think something's there that's not, even though we know we're heading into hyperinflation. So despite all the optics, I keep telling everybody, buy your precious metals, become your own central bank, rely less on the government. And if you have savings to build, do it in precious metals so that you can combat what's coming in the next chapter. Basel 5 is not a joke. Just like the ISO is not a joke. Just like the Internet of Things is not a joke. Just like digital era coming is not a joke. The only thing that's a joke here is everybody talking about a maniacal bullshit black swan event. That is the only BS. Because a black swan event, how would you have prior knowledge to it if it's a black swan event? By definition, a black swan event comes out of the blue. It's unexpected. So that's how I look at it. So when I don't speak the same narrative as 99% of YouTube, it's because they're dopes. And if they're your favorite YouTubers, so be it. I'm not talking about anybody by name. I'm just saying anybody who spits that agenda is just, they're so far behind. Anybody who talks about crypto and still will lead you to believe that crypto is an enemy of precious metals and you should have one over the other, they're full of shit. Why would you justify having one form of money and not have the one that is the store of value? Ask yourself that. Oh, crypto is the store of value. That's what I'll say that. Just like Ohio State doesn't cheat and only Michigan does. Michigan's the only team that cheats in college football. That's why we win. You know, it's the same maniacal BS. When you don't play by their rules, you don't play by their commission, just like in crypto, just like in the stock market, just like in the news, you lose. But if you end up doing it yourself, you start to study like we do, and you can start to prevent this whole narrative. Well, now we can stay on top of what's happening. That descending channel is a bullish reversal on XRP unless it loses it. If it bounces out of here, this is a big reversal. That's what these descending channels are. Exchanges have been hacked twice in the last 10 days. They are under investigation. Bitfinex just printed their bail. Oh, I am not surprised about that. That is actually something that's been coming. Happy morning after Thanksgiving. Hope you all enjoyed the day. Yes, indeed, Hamza. These crypto exchanges are loving the rally and will pump it more to recover. Yes, exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what Crypto Scrooge said. That's exactly what I'm thinking too. They're trying to recover their losses. And with the proposed Bitcoin ETF and Ethereum ETF, And I don't know where the Ethereum chart went, but I had the Ethereum chart up there so you guys could see how it was running. I even set it up for everybody so that they could see it. But we got to finish off this midday market report. I'm treating this more like a normal update right now. Please make sure to hit that like button if you appreciate what I do and you appreciate the time I put in, because it's a lot. I put in over 4,000 videos here on YouTube since March of 21, not a joke. I do thank the 193 subscribers that joined on Thanksgiving. I have no idea how that's even possible. I'm just so incredible. And the follows are continuing. They're continuing. We've had like 50 today, or something like that already. So it's been a tremendous show of support. So that's Ethereum, and we're attempting a breakout here with Ethereum. If we do, crypto's ending for a year-end rally. If we break down, I mean, there's a big difference between a breakout and a breakup for Ethereum. And we've had 3 hits on support and resistance right now. Well, we theorized that would be the 3rd spot, which it's up to now. It wasn't there when we put it there. So, but besides that, that's everything I want to cover except one thing. Market update. I like to read this and then I am out. So Dow rises Friday as Wall Street heads for 4th straight winning week. The Dow Jones Industrial Average rose on Friday as the major average aimed for a 4-week winning streak. The 30 stock Dow rose 77 points or 0.2%. Meanwhile, the S&P 500 traded marginally lower and the NASDAQ composite fell 0.2%. Major retail shares were mixed in trading as Black Friday kicked off the holiday shopping season. Walmart was up 0.8% while Amazon traded flat. Based on our checks, we forecast flat traffic trends this Black Friday as a budget-conscious consumer pulls back and prioritizes gifts for others versus self. Incorrect. Wrote TD Cowen retail analyst Oliver Chen in a note. That's completely false. Most people, you want me to be real? Most people are pulling back not because they want to buy for others, because they can't afford to buy for anybody. They have to buy their groceries, pay the extraordinary gas bill and the electric bill, and try to pay for basic necessities. They can't exactly afford things this holiday season. So to put off a comment like that is completely false, and I don't respect people who do that kind of nonsense. Oh, what is this garbage? I don't want no black. Now I can't even look at this. Trying to show me Black Friday stuff. So for the week, the Dow and S&P are up 1%. The NASDAQ composite is also up 1% in this time. Or in that time, it would be the longest weekly winning streak for the S&P 500 and NASDAQ since June. The Dow, meanwhile, hasn't posted a weekly run this long since April. What a surprise that it just comes right at the exact time where all of the bigwigs get their year-end bonuses if the price continues to go up. The moves come as Treasury yields this week hit multi-month lows on hope inflation is cooling and the Federal Reserve may be done raising rates. Completely false once again. The only reason the Treasury yields are going down is because the Fed is printing money into oblivion and they buy the government bonds. Don't be misled. The benchmark rate was up 5 basis points and around 4.468% on Friday. The market's expectation for volatility of interest rates is continuing to collapse, said Scott Lander, Chief Investment Officer at Horizon Investments. I would not invest through Horizon Investments because this guy has no clue what's going on. No, we're heading into a time of hyperinflation because we're not raising rates appropriately. This has nothing to do about, oh man, these people, I'll tell you, is unbelievable. 4 to 5% rates is the right level for 2024 across the curve that the equity market can handle. The U.S. stock market closed at 1 p.m. after being closed Thursday due to the Thanksgiving holiday. On Wednesday, the major averages closed higher after the 10-year Treasury yield fell to levels not seen since September. Is XRP going up or not? Spencer, you want to say that in a more respectful way? You want to say, hey, Tom, I appreciate all your work, but can you take a look at the XRP chart? Instead of just, I mean, I've already went through it. Did you watch my morning update? Has anybody paid attention to what I put out here on this update? As long as we stay on top of the descending channel, then I'm out. The descending channel, as long as we stay on top of this, we are still technically bullish. The moment we break down the first pivot point of 593, I'm concerned. You want this W reversal to continue pushing. You want this to continue breaking out, and we would love to see a daily close over 617 and get on top of the 20-day, and then ultimately push over 646. Is XRP bullish? I tend to believe if this descending channel holds and plays true, these are bullish continuation patterns. If you break out instead of breaking down, With this massive W reversal, it could be signaling that we're trying to make a massive breakout end of year of about 36%. Is that confirmed or guaranteed? No, and that's why I said it comes with conditions. You need to break the six. First of all, the big level you need to break here is right here, 646, and then 75 cents. You break 646 and hold, you got a nice run to 75 at minimum. But I believe we've been building a long-term cup and handle since July of 23, and we need to come up there and at least double top. That's just my personal opinion. I could be completely wrong, but I won't even say I'm wrong because I'm not making a prediction. I'm saying that if I had to guess, that's what I'm saying, that they might prop it up that way. We're going to know if they decide to go the other way. We're going to lose the two key pivot points at 593 and 581, and we're going to know it failed. So if I had to say right now, a 68% chance it goes up instead of down. But remember, that's still a 32%. That's 3.2 out of every 10 times it's going to go down. That also means 6.8 times out of every 10 it's going to go up in this scenario. These are bullish setups, especially when you look at the weekly time frame. But with market manipulation, as I've stated a billion times, you can't just make a foregone conclusion and say we're going to go up. Weekly volume's been pathetic here on a breakdown, which is good to see. And we still have the weekly golden cross very much intact, where we almost came down all the way to the 20-day to retest it, which is actually real strength. So, are we going up or down? Let's talk Sunday and see if we can actually finish this off and have a bullish close to the weekend. Can Bitcoin stay over 38,000, or is it just going to keep doing the same thing? Right now, Bitcoin looks like a nice inverted hammer. In the last couple days, it tried to bounce off of these. We need to get over 37,980 and break out. If we lose the key support at 58 or 59, very simple. If we lose that, expect a drop down to the breakout point of this bull flag, all the way down at about 52 cent area. 52 to 54 cent range would be your estimated target. I tend to believe it'd be more around that 524 level, where we would have to retest. But you don't want to come down there. If you come down there, it's very possible you come back down to the bottom of the channel. And right now, the bottom of the channel, if you line it up with, let's just say around December 4th, is 42 cents. So, and then one more thing, and then I've really got to go. If everybody appreciates what I do, make sure you hit that like button. If you want to pay it forward, had no donations on Thanksgiving, or anybody joined Tom's Army, which is fine because we had a nice amount of subscribers. If you want to pay it forward, join Tom's Army, send a YouTube super chat. You are more than welcome. Or please hit that like button and consider subscribing to the channel. This, like I said, it wrecked everybody. They promised. Elon came out back in 2020, and I bought it down here, $7-8. I really did, and it came down here. I didn't get the low. I waited. I didn't sell it at 41, and I ended up selling it at like 37. It came right back down to 14. I never watched it again. After I made that, it was like 500-600%. Never looked again. I knew it came up here, immediately collapsed. When it came back up here, I told everybody I knew to sell this shit. It's a pile of shit. There's no earnings. Wait until it gets eroded. And now look what happened. Now it's on a huge descending pattern. This is actually where you'd want to take a shot. These descending channels are bullish reversals at their finest, assuming this company's not going bankrupt, which, you know, I don't think they will. But this is one that was supposed to, by 21, they said it would be up over $100 a barrel by 22. But if you were ever going to take a shot, this is the rotation. Imagine all those people that told me I was crazy for selling that I used to talk to in the stock market before I started doing crypto. They told me I was nuts for selling this so cheap. Like I said, I didn't even get the $50 top, but I turned $7.70 approximately into like $38 or $37 a share. So some people are like, oh, you didn't get 52. You're right, but I'm not holding it at $1.77. Like, that's where the weird flex comes in. Like, oh, you sold it out at 37. Oh, yeah. You know, I sold it out 15 times higher than where it is now. Well, way more than that. 30 times higher than it is now. But right now, the resistance, $2.84 crypto Scrooge. This is where we need to break out before we start breaking down. If you lose, I mean, there's not much room for this thing to go. Let's be honest. This thing's going to have some kind of reversal here soon. It has to. Unless it's going to go completely goodbye-byes. I remember when everybody was all up this thing, and I haven't heard that name in a while. But I'm XRP Future Millionaire. Please make sure to hit the like button if you appreciate my work. If you like this live today, I know it was a little bit longer. We went through a lot of stuff today. Maybe watch this twice. I'd appreciate if you share this on social media. If you're looking to trade crypto, look in the video description below. You can get all the links that I will provide for you at BitUnix, at Maxi for the cheaper spot fees. But other than that, I appreciate each and every one of you. JW, have a fantastic afternoon. Thank you, Crypto Scrooge. And Spencer. No, don't be sorry. I think I came off a little too strong there. I don't know. I was just in my routine, so I apologize, Spencer. I think I got it out, though, the way I wanted to. Sometimes I'm a little more straightforward than I am other days, especially when the markets are very volatile. I don't like to mince my words. So I may come off more dickish on days like today, only because it's more important for us than ever on days like today to understand where we're at. Whether it's a fake out, whether it's for real with some of these markets, we're going to find out as the days go on, but we're going to actually understand it in the moment with what's going on. Thank you, everybody. Have a good day. Stay blessed. Well, Michael, yes, I would have been more profound if I would have come out and yelled for Tom, but he's afraid of me. Bob, it's not that I'm afraid of you. Sometimes you're just off topic. Well, Tom, I could have told Spencer to treat you with more respect. He did, Bob. He didn't come out here like an... Well, Tom, you just need to... Maybe you should go relax. You know what, Bob? That's a fine idea. I'm going to go have some... Thank you, everybody. I appreciate you for tuning in to have some fun and games with me. The 60 people and 62 likes, that's incredible. Thank you all so much and have a blessed afternoon. I appreciate each and every one of you. Yes, please watch it from the beginning, XRP Ricky Ripple. And I'll see everybody tonight for the live. I'll also be doing a short at probably 2:30 just because I like to do it so everybody can stay in rhythm at midday. But tonight, around 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we'll go live leading into the daily close at 7.